right. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is enjoying their day so far. Really excited to have you on for today's presentation, which will be about the importance of video in recruiting. Super excited to speak to everyone further about really what ends up being some of the most important information you can make available to college coaches in this recruiting process. Want to make sure that everyone first has an opportunity that I take a moment to introduce myself first and foremost, for those of you who maybe haven't joined webinars with us in the past before. So my name is Mike Babich. I'm a senior recruiting analyst here at SportsRecruits, meaning I work mainly with families that have decided that they need some additional support in the recruiting process, whether that be with the aspects of contacting college coaches, preparing for interviews, anything that they really feel that they can benefit from. Just want to make sure that audio is working. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so basically making sure that they are prepared for anything that gets thrown their way in the recruiting process. And a big topic of discussion more often than not is going to be surrounding video. How to make it available to coaches, what are they looking for? What is the best way to present yourself through video footage? Because more often than not, that is going to be the way that coaches find out about you as a potential student athlete. So really excited to dig more into how you can all benefit moving forward with one, how to make your video as visible and digestible as possible for college coaches, but also how SportsRecruits tries to make the video side of the recruiting process much easier for you as well. So for those who may not know, maybe you're new, this is the first time that you are joining a webinar with us. The SportsRecruits Network is very strong with over 500,000 recruitable student athletes, over 12,000 club and high school teams that are involved in our network, over 11,000 different college programs across all sports sanctioned by the NCAA that are currently evaluating athletes. And we also have the ability to get involved with different events throughout the year in a variety of sports as well. So really, our main goal is just trying to make the recruiting process easier, not just for student athletes, but also for college coaches. Ultimately, if it's easier for coaches, it makes it a better experience for student athletes as well. So hope you enjoy. If you are new, if you're just getting signed up, if you just created your own profile, this will give you a better sense of how you can make that video presentable to college coaches moving forward. So I'll start off just by really just kind of digging into the importance of video and why you want to make sure you have video available for college coaches. We'll then go into some of the different video features that SportsRecruits provides that you may see that you have access to on the site. We also have some integrations on the site where we actually have partnered with a few different companies that makes it really easy for you to combine different accounts you may have out there and make your video visible on your SportsRecruits account. We'll talk about sharing your video and making that accessible to college coaches. And as we do for all of our webinars, we will provide some time at the end to answer any questions that anybody has. So for those of you who have anything that you want to write into the chat box, the Q&A section of the screen, just write those in and I'll do my best to get to as many of those questions as possible once we get through this slide deck here. The last thing I'll note before getting into some of these slides is for if you know someone who wasn't able to attend live, or if we say something on this presentation that you do want to review and maybe you don't get a chance to write it down, we will send a recording of this webinar, typically within 24 hours of the completion of today's presentation. So be on the lookout for that. That'll automatically be sent to you via email, and we also will put it on the SportsRecruits YouTube channel. So and as well as our landing page. So we'll make that very presentable and very, very accessible for anyone who may want to rewatch this, or if you want to share it with someone that you think would benefit from the information. Okay, so just to jump right into it, the importance of video. And I think video really has become some of the most important information you can make accessible to college coaches at this stage in the recruiting process, because recruiting has really changed. I've been at SportsRecruits for 6 years, and I think video has just become so much more prevalent because there are student athletes out there that now can make that strong first impression without being seen by that coach in person. So being able to get your video analyzed and evaluated by these different college coaches, if you're someone who is interested in schools that maybe are a little bit further out from your general area that is close to home. If you do want to give college coaches an opportunity to see how you're developing throughout your high school career or through your club career, this gives you the opportunity to really make that easy for college coaches to take in and digest. So I think more than anything, it just increases the potential opportunities that you have. And it also makes recruiting easier for college coaches as well, where maybe they wouldn't be exposed to someone who has your talent, your skill set, where you could be a really great fit for their program, and the way that they can at least get a better understanding of who you are and what you're all about would be by watching that highlight video or watching that pin playlist that you put together on SportsRecruits, which is something we'll get into in more detail in just a few moments. And just to kind of get into the types of video that we make available, and a pinned playlist, for those who don't know, is a relatively new feature that we have in the site that I'll go through the ins and outs of why it is. We feel that it really is, so maybe if not the best way, one of the best ways that you could make your footage presentable to college coaches, because it gives you a chance to make that footage catch college coaches' attention quickly. You can continuously update to keep your top moments pinned. And you also have an opportunity to basically filter out and tag what skill set you're showcasing each clip, which makes your video more customizable. And again, that's something that we'll definitely get in more depth in just a few moments. I would say the most popular types of video for many years has been highlight reels for a number of sports that I've had the chance to work with, because it gives you a chance to show your best plays from live in-game competition. If you're someone who is currently in a fall sport, for example, one of the things that I would recommend if you want to put together a fall 2025 highlight video, or maybe even want to put together a first half of your fall season highlight reel, being able to just gather those clips that you want to eventually make accessible to college coaches down the road is usually going to be a great way just to save time so you don't have to go back and watch all of your footage at the end of the season. So collect those best plays. You can combine them by a certain time of year. Maybe you have a really awesome tournament that you played in over the summer where you have a couple of really awesome plays. Maybe there's a certain game where you feel like it's maybe, if not the best, one of the best games you've ever played, and you can put together a smaller highlight video that shows that you really were locked in on that particular day. And I think the thing about highlight reels as well is we always want to showcase versatility whenever possible. We work with a lot of the cross athletes here at SportsRecruits, and one of the things that comes up a lot is, look, highlight reels are great, but if you're showcasing that same skill or that same type of play over and over again, you're not really showing college coaches, what you're capable of. So if you're an attack and you score a goal from the right side of the field inside the box 10 times, and you show that same play, that same version of that play from different areas of a season over and over again, coaches may not understand that you are someone that could be an asset on the defensive side of the ball, or maybe you are someone who could attack and go get ground balls, or be someone who can facilitate, be more of a playmaker with your passing and creating assists and opportunities that way. So, as much as it is pulling out your best plays, of course, goals, touchdowns, 3-pointers, depending on the sport that you're playing, there certainly is a place for highlight videos for that. It's also trying to showcase the things that you do that maybe don't jump off the page from a sense of, trying to go viral or something like that. What can you show a college coach that ultimately is going to get them excited about how you're positively impacting the game and your team? Skills videos are a little bit different, where that's typically going to be more in a practice setting, where it's going to be more set up like a training, where you are going to be showcasing the same skill set multiple times in a row, potentially from different angles. So, for example, if you are a goalkeeper, there might be a particular drill that you have that shows that how you're handling, close in shots that you're receiving. And then you might show a different skill that show how you're able to, set yourself up with positioning when you're in a 2-on-1 scenario, right? Depending on the sport that you're in, depending on the guidance that you're receiving from your club coaches and your high school coaches, they're going to be the ones that are going to be able to give you the best sense of what are the best drills, what are the best techniques that you can showcase to college coaches, particularly if you have received feedback from a college coaching staff and they said, hey, we think you do a lot of things well, but some constructive criticism we have for you is this area of your game. One great way to show that you've taken that feedback seriously is putting together some sort of skills video that showcases that you're actively working on improving on that particular aspect of your game. So skills videos, the biggest difference between, I would say, that and highlight reels is that that's usually going to be more in a controlled practice setting to showcase that you are working to try and overall just kind of become a more complete player, become a more complete person on the field or court, or if depending on the sport that you play. And lastly, live footage. That's going to be something that's unedited. Maybe it's something that's a full game, half of a game, or a quarter. And I would say, in my experience, more often than not, if you're providing live footage to a coaching staff, this is after they've had a chance to see a highlight reel. So I kind of think of a highlight reel as more of that first impression. And then maybe they want to get a better sense of, okay, well, let's see what you are outside of that. How do you respond after you make a mistake? Or if a referee or an official makes a call that you disagree with, is that going to take you out of the game mentally? Are you going to be able to have that next play mentality? Of course, if you're making a highlight reel, you're not going to include your mistakes, right? So of course you're going to try and pull out the best plays that you have where you look at your absolute best. Where I think live footage, it gives coaches an opportunity to see you from a little bit of a different lens, and there's really no hiding or editing out what those mistakes might be. No coach expects you to play perfect all the time, but I think what that live footage can sometimes do for a college coaching staff is, you know, let's see you throughout the course of a game to see, are you someone that is still going to put that effort that we're looking for, where you are going to make a positive impact on our program if we were to offer you a spot on this roster. My recommendation usually for my families is you don't necessarily have to have live footage accessible on the site right away. But whenever you do play a really awesome game or a really awesome tournament, or if you have a particular quarter that you're particularly proud of, make sure just to have that saved. So if a coach ever were to ask you for something that is unedited in terms of live footage, you can really easily pass that along. They could always ask for more, but it's always good to have that in the back of your mind of where can I showcase myself at my absolute best, where it doesn't necessarily have to be edited down like a highlight reel or a pinned playlist is. And I think the reason why of having video and having these different options of footage available for college coaches is having an online presence now is something that is really a need at this point. I think 6 years ago, 8 years ago, maybe you didn't necessarily need to have as much exposure online as a student athlete. Maybe there was a lot of communication you can do through a high school coach or through a club coach and through relationships, and all of that is still prevalent. But if you want to be proactive and you want to put yourself out there and you want to be the person that tries to take your recruiting process in your own hands, having some sort of video for coaches to evaluate to make that first impression really becomes paramount. When you have a recruiting profile like we offer here on Sports Recruits, you're able to give that information and basically create a recruiting resume for these college coaches to save them time overall. Like I was saying at the beginning of our presentation, if this recruiting profile, if what we provide here doesn't make a college coach's job easier, it doesn't do you a whole lot of assistance either. So when you have a profile, making sure you have all of that pertinent information about yourself, your background, contact information, your academic info, if there's any awards or accolades that you have, if there's anything that you think is noteworthy about what yourself did individually, or if you and your team had some really great success, making that available for coaches to see. Those are all things that you want to make sure that you are going to put out there just to make it as easy as possible for college coaches to identify. Looks like I do have a Q&A, something that popped up in the Q&A here for a second. And it looks like the question is specifically about storing and sharing videos with coaches. That is something that what we will be going over very shortly. So thank you for your question on that. Okay, just wanted to see that pop up. And again, when building a recruiting presence, allowing coaches to evaluate you from anytime, anywhere. If they're on the run, if they're going to tournaments or events, it's going to be really easy for them to access any updates that you have for them as you continuously communicate with them throughout your recruiting process. Okay, to get into the Sports Recruits video features, I think, again, our biggest goal is to always just make it as accessible as possible for college coaches, but also to make it as easy as possible for you to make any footage that you find to be relevant or impressive to put that out there for college coaches to see. So you have unlimited video storage on your Sports Recruits account. So you can upload as much footage as you'd like from a computer or mobile device. If you're someone who uses a laptop, you can drag and drop that information right from your desktop or from your downloads. If you have a mobile device, you can simply take from your camera roll and upload right to your account just like that. We're embedding. We actually have a lot of capabilities. If you have footage that is available on YouTube, Huddle, or Vimeo, you can also take clips that you have from those particular websites and make that really easily identifiable for those college programs. And we also have partnerships with websites like Sideline HD and Ball Time, where you can connect your two accounts together and make basically a seamless transition of making your footage from these other websites become accessible for college coaches on those different areas. One thing that we always like to stress when you get into uploading footage on Sports Recruits is you have the option to make footage visible or not visible on the site. The easiest way to identify that is when you upload a video or when you embed a video, there's going to be an icon for each video where if it's green, it means that the video is visible to college coaches, where if it's gray, you'll notice that that video won't be visible for coaches. Some people utilize that section to basically store footage. So let's say, for example, if you don't want to make a full game available, but you might want to use a couple of clips from that game in a pin playlist, upload the full game, make the full game not visible, and then you can pull out those clips that you want to make available to college coaches after that. Another thing that I would say that's also really important is for those videos that you are making visible on the site, updating the titles of those videos. A lot of times, if you are uploading from a computer or from your camera roll, it might generate its own individual tile where it has a combination of numbers and letters, and there's just no context for the college coaches to understand what type of video that is. So it's really important. Again, you'll see an edit option for any video you add to your Sports Recruits account. Update it to summer 2025 highlights, best plays from the XYZ showcase, anything that's just going to give them a better sense of just when it happened, what's about to happen in the clip that they're about to see. If it's something that's a little bit more individualized, just try and give coaches as much context as possible and re-edit those titles if it isn't clear once you officially upload it. I see another question popped in, so I'll try and grab that quickly as well. So this person just reached out and said, do you recommend uploading to a site such as YouTube or directly to the site? In my opinion, I personally find it easier to make it to upload directly to SportsRecruits. You may find in some instances where, if, let's say, for example, if you are going to be filling out an application to try and get into a high profile showcase, sometimes those event organizations may only accept a YouTube link rather than copy and pasting a link to your SportsRecruits profile. So that would be an instance where I'll definitely make sure that it's really easy for you to upload footage to YouTube. But one of the nice things about uploading directly to your SportsRecruits library is you'll always have the option to re-download that footage. So again, you can use SportsRecruits as basically a place for storage. You can always add it to other websites after the fact. In terms of utilizing the SportsRecruits capabilities, like a pinned playlist, for example, I personally find it easiest whenever you upload that footage directly to the site. So you have some wiggle room there. I would say upload it first. You can always re-upload to YouTube or any other website down the road. Okay, so when it comes to kind of really get into that pin playlist feature, because again, I would say that is one of the newer features that we have on the site. Here we go. So the thing about the pin playlist is that basically gives you a chance to give coaches exactly what they're looking for, and you basically have and you also would have the ability to identify what clips specifically college coaches are viewing. For example, let's say you create a highlight reel and it has your summer 2025 highlights. One of the best benefits of SportsRecruits, in my opinion, is we're able to give you feedback of what college coaches are taking the time to look at when they're visiting your profile. You would receive a notification that says, this university just viewed your summer 2025 highlight reel. Certainly great information. However, if you were to create a pinned playlist, we would actually be able to tell you how many clips within that playlist a college coach viewed. So let's say you have 10 clips on your pinned playlist and you see a college coach viewed 8 of those plays. Now you know that they've spent a considerable amount of time looking at your footage. Where if the notification you receive from watching a highlight video, whether they watch 20 seconds or whether they watch the full 3 to 4 minutes, that notification is going to look the same. So on the athlete side, it's just giving you more data and more information to work with. And a pin playlist also is going to be something that you can continuously update, because as you're progressing through your high school career and going through your club season, you can continue to put your absolute best plays in that spot. From the college coach side, I would say athletes having that ability to see all those best plays in one location is really beneficial. Being able to organize and filter what they want to see from student athletes by those different skill sets. And again, that's something that we'll get into more depth here in just a moment. And you're able to have this interactive playback to find, watch, and rewatch clips really easily. So I think the last thing I'll say before I kind of go into the ins and outs of the pin playlist, and I see some more questions are coming in, I'll do my best to answer those as we kind of get through the rest of these slides. A highlight reel is something that's usually going to be from a very specific time frame, right? A summer 2025 highlight reel, a certain tournament. We've gone through that in some of the descriptions we used before. Think of the pinned playlist as if you had 2, 3, 4 highlight reels that you've made over the last year or two. The best 3, 4, 5, 7 clips that you have from each of those highlight reels are something that you can potentially include in your pin playlist. So rather than having a coach just watch your best plays from the last season, the last couple of months, from the last tournament that you played in, this is going to be a way of basically saying, here is me at my absolute best, dating back as far as I've been actively looking to get recruited. So I think that's really where the benefit really comes in, as a pin playlist is something that is ever changing, where usually when you upload a highlight reel, that's going to be the last version of that video. So hopefully that makes sense for some people. And again, if people continue to have questions on the pin playlist, just keep writing them in and I'll address as many of those questions as soon as we wrap up with some of the other slides here. Okay. To keep it going, when you are creating a pin playlist, you have the ability to upload video. You can sync footage from those different partners that I referenced before, Sideline HD and Ball Time. And our general recommendation is using your best 10 to 15 clips that you have overall. You'll see that when we go through the feature that you'll be able to tag what skill set you use. You can add your jersey number and color to make it really easy for coaches to identify you on screen. And we would also give you the option to add your own isolation effects through the site as well, through this pin playlist feature. So you add your clips, you publish your playlist, and as you progress through your seasons moving forward, you would be able to make those continuous updates as you get more outstanding plays that you would want to make front and center for college coaches to view. So to give people an idea of how that works, the way the pin playlist would be seen when you add your own isolation effect, you'll see that you basically have an editor that you'd be able to use where you can basically drag how long you want that play to last. You can identify yourself on the screen when you click on the isolation effect option there, and then you'll be able to really easily make it visible for college coaches to see where exactly you are so they can follow you throughout that play. So if you look down on the screen here right now, you add that area, you click on add isolation effect, you find yourself on frame, you select yourself, and then you can customize it based on if you want it to be a circle, an arrow, what color it is, to really make it as easy as possible for coaches to isolate you specifically. When you want to label what skill sets you're showcasing, you'll see that that is also an option on here too. You see you have the ability to add a caption, your jersey number, your jersey color. But one of the first things that you'll see at the top of the screen once you start cutting out a clip that you want to use would be that skills tab. Depending on your sport, we're going to provide you with specific skills that we know college coaches are going to want to see: passing, goals, opportunity creation, one-on-one defense, one-on-one offense, ground balls for lacrosse, for example. And if you're someone who's in volleyball or football or basketball, depending on the sport that you're in, you'll see that it'll be specifically identifiable for you based on the sport that you're involved in. So hopefully that gives people a better sense. We also have some really great help articles that break this down as well, which we'll make available to you guys. If you have any questions about utilizing the pin playlist, I definitely recommend reaching out to help@sportsrecruits.com. We have an awesome team there who will be able to get into the ins and outs of how you can best utilize the pin playlist feature and also show you specifically, depending on your sport, how you can take advantage of that as well. And then when you're designing a playlist, order is something that you might want to take a look into as well. It looks like some questions are piling in here. I just want to make sure that everything is working properly. Okay. All right. Nothing to worry about here. We will cover all of these in just a few moments. When you're designing a playlist, you can put it in a specific order. Maybe you want to group all of your plays in one specific location. If you want to have all of your 1v1 defense in one spot, you can do that. If you want to put all your goals in one section, you can do that. And if you look towards the top of the screen here, if you can follow my cursor, the way that we have this set up is based on how you are adding your skills. And just the note, you can add multiple skills when you are going through this feature. If a coach wanted to see all of your plays that you do identify 1v1 offense, they can click on that and they can customize their viewing experience if that is the particular aspect of your game that they are most interested in viewing. So ultimately, this is why we think this is basically kind of the next generation of the best way to make your video footage available to college coaches, because it gives those college coaches an opportunity to basically customize their viewing experience. It gives you a chance to stay up to date and make that footage available as you get new information and as you get your best plays overall. And yeah, more than anything, we just find that, for people who have created pin playlists in the site in the past, being able to get that added information of how many views you're getting access to, how much time college coaches are spending on your profile has been something that has been a huge benefit to a lot of recruiting process for the student athletes on our site. Okay, get through some of these slides here, and then I know there's a bunch of questions that came in, and we'll answer those as quickly as possible as well. So again, you can very easily sync video directly from your other websites such as Sideline HD or Ball Time. You can connect your Sideline HD account or your Ball Time account directly to your SportsRecruits profile. You can easily combine any footage that you have on that profile and simply add that to your SportsRecruits account. Again, we have some really awesome help articles if you do run into any issues in syncing and integrating these two accounts together into one. And I'll make sure to cite the help desk again. That email address is help@sportsrecruits.com if you are someone that is interested in trying to take advantage of that as well. We'll make sure to include some of in the recording of this webinar when we upload it to YouTube. We'll include some of these help articles as well in the description of the YouTube video, just to make it as easy as possible for everyone to identify that if that is something that you want to follow up on. All right, and before we get into some of the questions here, sharing your video. The best way to get your video in front of college coaches is by proactively contacting them, specifically through the SportsRecruits messaging system. If you are someone that has an active pro account on SportsRecruits, this is going to give you the ability to type in the name of the school that you're interested in when you are in our messaging system. You can see on the example here, you type in the name of the school. You then will see a list of colleges available in that particular sport that you're interested in contacting. And then you're able to send an email and let that coaching staff know, hey, look, coach, just want to let you know I updated some video on my account. If you wanted to take a look at it, all you need to do is click on the link below. You'll see on this on the GIF that we have showing here, we are going to automatically provide a link right here where it says sportsrecruits.com/Marty Carter. That would automatically be included in any message that you send through the site. The best thing about that is ultimately going to be you're going to be able to track that information and activity that's coming in from those college coaches. So it's really seamless. Rather than waiting for college coaches to find your video, they're not necessarily going to receive a notification when you upload new footage or when you update your pin playlist. So the best way to maximize the potential of coaches seeing that new footage that you've made accessible is by directly contacting them, letting them know it's there, and maybe even asking for feedback if that's something that you're interested in receiving from those particular coaches that you have a distinct interest in. And when you are contacting college coaches, I would say we definitely get a lot of questions about that in terms of, how often should I be reaching out to schools? When is the right time to contact these different college programs? Here's a list of different reasons that we typically think are the right time to reach out to these different college programs. If you are someone who has never contacted a college coach before, that's okay. You're definitely going to want to take the time to take a moment and introduce yourself to these different college programs. Before you send that introductory email, we definitely want to make sure that you do have some version of video available for those college coaches to view. Even if your access to footage is limited and it's just a skills video or it's training clips, or maybe it's only a couple of plays from a recent event that you went to, it's better to have something than nothing. So of course, a full-fledged highlight video or a completely created pin playlist would be best case scenario, but you want to make sure you're giving them something to evaluate when you do start that journey of contacting college coaches directly. And then after that, it's really just trying to stay consistent and provide coaches with periodic updates whenever you're giving them something new to evaluate. Of course, video is something that could be new to evaluate, but maybe you want to give coaches a heads up that you're going to be at an event that they're listed on the attendance list for. Maybe you have an academic update, such as a test transcript or an updated SAT or ACT result. Maybe you have a specific in-season update and you were, identified as player of the week, or you received all conference or all county honors, for example. So those are just, an example of a lot of the different ways that we could make that available to you and how you can reach out to coaches and really stay consistent more than anything else. Biggest thing I'll say on this screen is don't take a lack of response from a coaching staff as a lack of interest, particularly if a coach is in season. They're usually pretty busy. College coaches have a lot going on. They have a lot of responsibility. Don't always assume that just because they didn't watch your highlight video right away or they didn't respond to your last email that you are not someone that they're interested in moving forward with. I've worked with plenty of student athletes where it's taken them 3, 4, 5 emails, maybe even more sometimes, to bake through and get that initial response from a coaching staff, especially if you are someone that is interested in reaching out to high-level programs, D1 schools, high academic schools that receive a ton of attention. It's going to be really important that you stay consistent and that you don't give up on a program, even if you don't get that, even if you're not getting that immediate reaction that you're looking for right away. Okay. Know a lot of questions have come in, so we'll go through that. But just to recap everything that we went over before, video is an incredibly important piece of the recruiting process, making it accessible, utilizing these different features that we made available on the site here. Again, we're going to make sure that you guys have access to a lot of these different help articles. You can contact our help desk if you do have any follow-up questions that I don't answer here now, but hopefully that gives everyone a better perspective of really what is the benefit of utilizing our site, making video available to college coaches so you can continuously get those updated evaluations, and hopefully that leads to interest from different programs and getting those offers that everyone's hoping for when they enter the recruiting process. All right, so we have a few minutes to try and get through as many of these questions as possible, and I will do my best to go through that as quickly as I can. All right, so the first one that I see here is how do you rename a video? I don't have a visual version of showcasing this right now, but when you upload a video to the site, you will see that there'll be a pinwheel icon in the bottom left of each video. When you click on that option, you'll see there's an edit option. And then when you click on the edit, you'll be able to include a new title, edit the title, and you could also even add a short description if you were interested in doing so as well. So should be pretty easy once you get to that area of the page. If you have any trouble with that, again, help@sportsrecruits.com is certainly going to be the best resource for you to communicate that with. Okay. Okay, so the next question that came in is, are you saying it would be valuable to have numerous highlights that are titled different and not just one 4-minute career highlight? And this particular person is a soccer athlete. So I think more often than not, people are usually going to make highlight videos after each season, right? So again, summer 20, so maybe you have something from spring 2025, summer 2025, and fall 2025. What the pin playlist would do is basically give you a chance to take the absolute best plays from each of those three highlight videos and then put that essentially becoming your career highlight to an extent. So usually I think people just like to break it down and create things as they progress through each season. So really I think what my point there is you have the option to do both on Sports Recruits. I would say it ends up being more prevalent and important to have your absolute best plays in one spot. And that's why we built that pin playlist feature. But I think that's where you end up putting yourself in the best position. And highlight reels are certainly something that are still going to be prevalent and people are still going to create as they navigate through the different seasons that they're involved in. Okay. Let's see. Someone did make a note when creating a pin playlist. They did find that video had to be uploaded. That is correct. At this point, it is in your best interest when creating a pin playlist, upload the footage whenever possible. So if it is coming from raw footage, your best bet is to upload that raw footage directly, and then that will give you the ability to clip out those plays that you want to make available to college coaches using our pin playlist feature. Okay. Okay. All right. Looks like we have a couple of repeat questions in here. I'm just trying to find anything that we haven't added. Can you access GameChanger video through SportsRecruits? So for those who don't know, GameChanger is a pretty popular site that is used in softball and baseball, in my experience. I would say more often than not, you can take your GameChanger clips, upload them directly to your your SportsRecruits video library. And then since those GameChanger clips usually last about a minute and a half, your best bet would then be to actually take out the part of the play that you're most interested in showcasing college coaches. So you can really, take that minute and a half long clip and cut that down to about 15, 20 seconds. If you hit a double down the line, if you had a really awesome diving catch in center field, for example, you don't need to see all of the, pre and post of that play. Just try and make it as efficient of a viewing experience for college coaches as you possibly can. Generally speaking, how long should a highlight video be for your first contact with the coach? I think the sweet spot always is going to be within that 2 to 4 minute range. I think 3 minutes and 18 seconds is that average amount of time that we've seen a college coach watch highlight videos. So look, we have people who we've seen that create 7, 8, 9 minute long highlight reels. Chances are they're not going to see the second half of that, right? So I think it's going to be in your best interest to make sure that you go through and include that information as best as you possibly can. So yeah, really try and be selective and keep it within that 2 to 4 minute range. I would say that usually is going to put you in between 10 and 20 clips in total, typically. All right. Some players add things like music or effects to their videos. Is that reasonable or annoying to coaches? And maybe that's something that's better off for a single highlight video. Yeah. So yeah, I think when it comes to music, that usually ends up being something that really ends up being more for the student athlete more than anything else. I've had a chance to work and meet with a ton of college coaches who say when they receive highlight reels, more often than not, they actually might even utilize they might even just watch the video on mute. Some coaches say that they really enjoy the music because it maybe gives a chance to kind of see the athlete's personality. The one thing I would say about music is you definitely want to make sure that you include something that isn't going to have any sort of profanity. If you have a certain song or a certain beat that you want to use, try and find a instrumental version of that song, and that's usually going to be your safest bet. In terms of effects, some people like to use slow motion, but I would certainly stay away from like the really over the top stuff like lightning bolts or, added graphics or anything like that. Ultimately, coaches really want to see the plays. Anything that takes away from that, it could end up just coming off as a distraction. And, I think the most important thing is being able to showcase you as a player rather than adding, a lot of different bells and whistles. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Again, it looks like a lot of people have some questions that might need some follow-up. So your best bet is to reach out to help@sportsrecruits.com if you do have anything that you specifically need assistance with, whether that be with the pin playlist or another area of the site. When you are going to the pin playlist would be an option right when you log into your profile. When you go into the video library, there are a few sports that don't have that feature just yet, so you may not see it if you are. I know football is one sport, for example, that doesn't have a pin playlist option. I believe ice hockey is another one. But if you are, for example, if you're a lacrosse athlete, soccer athlete, basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, you are gonna be someone who has the ability to create a pin playlist directly onto SportsRecruits. Okay. All right. Just have a couple more here. Where in particular is it best to upload a whole game video? You'll be able to upload that right into your video library. So again, if it's something that's saved on your computer, saved on your phone, you'll be able to, easily upload that right into your video library. Keep in mind, if it's a game that's an hour long, hour and a half long, it's going to take a little while to upload. So my recommendation usually, especially if you have a computer, upload it, drag and drop it right into your video library, and then just let it happen overnight, so you don't have to sit there watching the really large video file have to upload the entire time. All right, we have time for one or two more here, and again, thanks everyone so much for providing this information. It's really helpful for us for sure. At this time, so this person asks how many pin playlists that you have. Currently, it is one. We have had discussions about potentially having more than one at some point in the future. We certainly would announce that release if that were something that we ever were be able to provide, if you did want to break it down. But at this point, your pin playlist is going to be one. You always have the option to make additional highlight reels outside of that if you wanted to break things down by tournament, by season, however you want to, make more specific timeframes if you choose to do so. We're a pin playlist right now. It's going to be your absolute best of best plays from the multiple types of video that you have. Okay. I think we have time for one or two more here. Just, a couple of repeats. So one person wrote, once a pin playlist with an isolation effect has been completed on the SportsRecruits site, can it be copy and pasted to an email to send to a specific coach or school? So your best bet is if you are a SportsRecruits Pro user, meaning that you can send emails through the SportsRecruits messaging system, is you're not going to copy and paste the link directly to the pinned playlist video, because the video itself is automatically pinned to the top of your account. So in that link that I was showcasing before, that's automatically included in any message you send through the site. That is what that coach that you're sending it to is going to click on that link, and the first thing they're going to see is that create a pin playlist with the isolation effects that you included. All right, I think we have time for one more here, guys. And again, thanks everyone so much for taking time out of their busy schedule here. Unlimited video storage, if that was something that people didn't hear before. Let's see. And at this moment in time, last question I'll answer here. Can isolation effects be completed on pin playlist and highlight reels? At this time, the best way to get to add your own isolation effect would be doing it through the pin playlist feature. If you have a highlight reel that you wanted the pin playlist feature added to, your best bet is going to be going through our professional highlight reel editor. And then that way you'd be able to lean on our editing team that we offer in-house. You may be someone who has a highlight reel editor credits automatically built into your account, or we also offer an a la carte version where you can purchase highlight reel credits where we can add the isolation effects for you too. So you have options for either or for that. Building it yourself right on the site, your pin playlist feature is going to be the best way to add your own isolation effects. Okay, I think that is all the time that we have here, everyone. Hopefully that gives everyone a better understanding of how to, best utilize the different video features that we have on the site. Again, if you have follow-up questions, just reach out to help@sportsrecruits.com. If you wanted to watch this back and go through anything in addition, we are going to make the recording this available most likely by sometime tomorrow. It'll hit your inbox, and it also will be provided on our YouTube channel and landing page, so be on the lookout for that. But really appreciate everyone's time. Hope everyone having a great fall semester so far, and definitely want to wish everyone the best of luck as they're putting together this new footage and making it visible to college coaches. So thanks so much, everyone. Appreciate your time. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And thanks again. We hope to see you again sometime soon. Appreciate it.